Wiggle, wiggle.
Like.
All right, we have another subscriber request. Keep the requests coming, love them. This is a tips and tricks on the E50M. I am compiling a playlist just of all these tips and tricks videos, so if there's tanks that you're need help with, you could take a look at the playlist. But let's dive into the E50M. So the E50M, you hear of tanks that are heavyums, like like heavy tanks that are played like medium tanks, but the E50M is I'm gonna try making something up, is like a medievy. Like it's kind of one of those tanks that, I mean, it's got good armor. It has weak spots around the turret mantlet, but it's a very small area around it and can be very difficult to pen. But anyway, it's got a great upper hull, wide tracks. It's a well-armored tank. I really like the E50M. So right here at the beginning, I'm trying to fulfill my role. I'm still trying to get to an area to spot. And you notice at the beginning, I didn't really quite take shots or quickly. Sometimes I'll get to an area to spot, because right after you fire, your visibility or your camo rating goes down, and you're more likely to get spotted after firing. Sometimes I'll just sit in an area for just a little bit of time and try to detect as much as I can, because I'm trying to get myself, my entire team, eyes on where the enemy is. So I'm utilizing the landscape. I mean, even though I'm a fairly well armored tank and I've got a pretty troll turret, I'm still trying to use the landscape. I'm not quite using my armor 100%. And you'll notice I am trying to side scrape on this in 2 of these videos. I was only able to get 2 of them back to back, and I want to give just real footage. You can see the timestamps, and I typically do 3 in a row, but I only had time for 2 just with the newborn, so I apologize, guys. But here I am. I'm kind of keeping myself a little bit in the center, trying to keep enemies spotted. I've got a team over on the right. I got team members over on the left. They're kind of falling apart. I'm starting to notice we're in a little bit of trouble here, and I'm trying to put myself in an area just to really get as many snapshots and put myself in an advantageous position as possible. So I was just in an area to spot, and I'm getting myself these Chinese TDs, the armor is a bit troll. But I'm really trying now. If my whole team kind of would have been moving right and the entire enemy was coming up over the left, I most likely, I mean, I could have kept myself there, but I would have moved. I'm trying to keep myself in an area where I'm kind of in front and spotting, but within like visibility of where my teammates are. So if I'm ever getting in trouble, my team can suppress the enemy back from a position of where I am, and I'm using that landscape to also try to protect me, if that makes sense. So in my last video of the ISU, or in like if you're in a glass cannon destroyer, how you're kind of in the middle of that circumference, and with a medium or light tank, you want to be in the front lines of that circumference. So your destroyers will be sometimes, like your glass cannons will be behind you, or supposed to be, in more of a suppressing or supporting role, shooting from a distance. And a light and medium tank, you're in the front area of that circumference, but as your team, just for example, like if you're in the middle of the map spotting and keeping eyes on the enemy for your team, and your team is moving on one side of the map, and the enemy is coming around one other side, you kind of want to stay within that area of the front line where you have your teammates can have visibility on you, but continually in that area that you can spot. And so as your team is kind of moving around the map, you're kind of like moving with them, but continually being able to stay and spot. So anyway, I don't know if that made like much sense to me. Maybe I'll like have to do a stream or something to kind of explain a little bit better. Anyway, so here with this game, I kind of looked around at the enemy lineup and my team's lineup, if my team net didn't say whether to go right or left, I would have most likely gone more mid. There's a really good bush that I could have spotted behind, but the fact that my team wanted to go right, I wanted to go more to this position to try and detect early enough on if there were any other enemies or heavies that were trying to cross over to get to this far other side, so that I could get those advantageous shots off or try to suppress them from continuing to push over on the far right side, to give my team kind of more of that freedom and ability to move up. So, and just like with any tank and what you're playing, you want to be very alert and aware. So it's very, very key that you always know where, or you have an idea of where your team is, where the enemy is, and that'll help you adjust and move and make decisions based on different positions around the map. And as I'm making different advancements across the map, I'm putting myself in an area to rely on landscape, making sure that the area, I've got good cover, I've got an idea of kind of where my team is, where the enemy is, or I'm using deductive reasoning of where the enemy could be. So here I'm putting myself in an area where if they come around, the enemies come around the left of this rock, I've got cover for them if they try to come up behind the destroyer. We are outnumbered here, but now that we've got this other light with us, now we've got a good fair advantage. I'm pushing up with my team, trying to get some shots here in them. The T-57's fallen. Now we've really conquered this far right flank. And so a lot of it, when playing a light or medium tank, also goes into knowing the map. So I know if I push up here and I go way up to that area where that pattern is right now, they have destroyers sitting there in the back, and the destroyers have some great visibility into shooting. They've got a really they've got good visibility into that entire pathway. So I'm now going down into the valley this way to approach the pattern. So looking at your path of least resistance, meaning the path of opportunity, where you're going to be the safest as you're making those continual advancements across the map. So in a tank like this, I want to close the gap. I know that they're reload. I mean, our team, this team is basically falling apart, but I know the strengths of my armor. I can bounce. So, and I'm always trying to be continually giving eyes on the enemy. It's sometimes the mistake of playing a light or medium tank, you can have the thought of like, oh, I've always got to be doing tons of damage. I have to be the ones, which that's not necessarily the case. I mean, you can when you put yourself in the right position. Not saying it can't be done, but if you're putting yourself in a position, sometimes you just kind of get stuck where the enemy is all pointing their cannon at you. You're the only one detected, and it's okay just to keep yourself behind cover, move around to a different position, pop up, spot, let the enemy get detected, and then your team have eyes, and then your team, when the enemy's detected, can just adjust themselves accordingly and then rain down fire upon the enemy. So anyway, hopefully this helps. I didn't really cover some other things, but the E50M has a great armor profile. Like that 8 degrees of gun depression, you can peek over those hills. You've got a troll turret, really good upper glacial hull armor, and you can really get yourself in those positions, kind of like what I was doing here to make those advancements, but you want to be very conscious of where your team is. You want to be spotting, and you want to be using that landscape. So anyway, hope this helps, and you guys stay cool and keep tanking.